Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be continuing the gate build, but we're going to be working on our panels that are going to go into the brickwork. There's two sets of panels on either side, and then we got the gate in the middle. So we're going to be working on that today. Should be a good video. Hope you guys stick with me. Last night I actually I went ahead and put some plastic over the top of all this metal, and I took that little piece of plastic over there and I had it on top of all this metal here, but it seems as though it was wetter under my plastic than it would have been just leaving it out. So I've actually already wiped this all down. It had a good bit of little surface rust and dirt, and I don't know what happened. I guess it just turned into like a greenhouse effect up under the plastic when the sun came out this morning, and it just, man, everything was soaking wet. So I think best thing to do as far as these gate panels goes, I need to move them inside of the garage. I'm gonna put them inside the garage until it gets closer to time to do some more work on the gate panels, and I guess I'm just gonna keep storing everything in the garage day by day until it's time to start doing some more work on it. So at least right now it's not super heavy. I can actually manhandle it, but once I start laying plate steel on there, it's going to be a different story. So I don't know what kind of storage system I'm going to come up with at that point, but we'll just have to see. But anyway, so today we're going to build the panels, and I guess that's it. So stick with me. I don't have my cameraman again today, or my camera lady, so I just have to show you what I can show you in between stuff. And I don't really have a good camera set up to like sit you on a tripod where you can watch. This camera doesn't last that long, so I just kind of have to shoot these short videos and stuff. So hope you guys are okay with that. So let's get into it. Alright, so I got them stowed away safe and sound in here in the garage. Get some scale of how big they are now. See them against that big ass boat. Pretty big. So anyway, maybe that'll be the only thing I can do to try to get this rust from stopping. See, it's wanting to rust bad in here around, like on my weld joints and stuff, which is why I covered them up, because I knew this new metal sticking out was going to want to rust. You can see every spot where I welded. So now they're inside, safe and sound, and I'll store the rest of this stuff in here as well once I get it built. Alright, so I've been trying to kind of shuffle some material around a little bit, because my my frame here it's not big enough. I mean, it's too big to build my 95 3/4 inch panels. I don't have, only the sides for my 95 inch panels, there's only 48 inches, and there's more like 50 or 60 inches in between here. So it's almost perfect to build these my 79 and 7/8. I think they're like 79 and 7/8 panels, because my sides for it are 60 inches long, which is almost perfect. So I can build those two on here, and then when I go to build my other panels, I'm gonna have to build them on the table over here. This is my bottom pieces for my panels, and as you can see right here, they are almost dead on the money, 79 and 7/8, which is good. You know, that's the measurement I was shooting for, but that's actually going to be my my overall measurement. So what ends up happening is, once you get your miters put together in your corners, for whatever reason, it'll actually end up growing about 1/8 of an inch. And I don't have an 1/8 of an inch to play, because my columns are actually like 79 and 7/8 at the bottom, but they're actually more like 80 at the top. They're, you know, the brickwork's not perfect. So I need to stick real tight to my 79 and 7/8 to make sure these things are going to fit. And with this bottom piece being exactly 79 and 7/8, once I put my two miters together in this corner right here, I'll end up just, you know, a little extra on both sides, like a 1/16, and then I end up making me an 1/8 of an inch wide, and then they're not going to fit. So what I'm going to do is trim off about a blade's width, about 1/8 of an inch or so off of these, so that my bottom, that my gate will end up being exactly 79, my panel end up being exactly 79 and 7/8 to the outside, and I shouldn't have any fitment issues. Because you take this thing all painted and pretty down there and you go to stick it in and it don't fit, then you got problems. Big problems. So in an effort to avoid that, I want to cut these bottom pieces down just a shade, make them a little bit smaller, and hopefully avoid any kind of fitment issues. Okay, I got them cut down to about 79 3/4 now, which should leave me that'll leave me some wiggle room to make sure I stay under my required measurement. So now we got a little wiggle room. Now we should be able to put it together. I cut it out of both the bottoms. Okay, so I got my frame laid out for this first panel I'm going to build, and pretty much the same thing as a gate. Use that piece of angle back here for a backstop, and then I'm using the front side of my channel because my legs are only 60 inches long, so I'm using the front side of this channel to line that bottom leg up with and get them good and square. Now I've gone ahead and I've measured across my diagonals, and it's dead nuts, 97 1/8 I think across my diagonal. So I think with this one, since I don't have a crossbar in it like I did on the, there's my finger, I don't have a crossbar like we did on the gates to hold these two things straight. So I'm gonna go ahead, I slid my angle iron back on this side just a little bit and caught it right there. That way I can lay my arch piece across the top and my angle iron won't interfere, because that's the only thing I got to hold my two ends square. So I'm going to keep everything clamped down, and I'm going to lay my arch piece up on top like I did with the gate and mark it out and cut it. So I got the arch piece just kind of laying up there so I can scribe it. As you see, that's quite a bit bigger than what we had with the gate. So I'm probably going to have to cut out a little wedge to go in here and stick it up in there, and that'll make that look right. That'll just kind of extend this piece of tubing on up. So I'll just cut me out a little wedge piece to go in there and weld it all up, sand it clean. And I think that's going to be the best thing to do as far as that goes. So that's where it's at once it gets lined up with the top portion. So it's easier to fix this stuff in the corners than it is to fix stuff out here on this edge. So shouldn't be too bad, but that's what I got. I guess this angle up here should have been more like I don't even know, a lot less than that. But oh well. Alright, so how I'm transcribing these, or how I'm making these lines for my cut, is I transcribe this line right here from the other piece of tubing, from the 45-degree cut at the end, and then I drew a straight line from the top of that one. And you gotta kind of account for your radius. You gotta eyeball this a little bit because of your radius, and then you might have to extend your cut line on out around your radius just by eye. And then you draw a straight line with your square, and draw another straight line with your square, and then out here, to connect these two lines back together, I just turn it on this side of the square, line it up, and line it up with my two, and then I take it and I just mark it right there, and that's my angle. So that's how I'm laying these out. Sorry, I don't have a camera later. Another thing I'm going to do is, since I already know it's going to come out, I'm going to make it come out dead nuts on the next one, I'm going to go ahead and take my arch piece, and instead of scribing it out, I'm just going to use my first arch piece as my pattern, so that'll save me some time. I'll just go ahead and whack both of them out at the same time. I won't have to lay it back up there and do all that measuring on the next one. I can just throw it all together and it should work out close enough. And also I got to cut those little wedge pieces. Let's see what that's about here in a little bit. I'll get them all cut at the same time too after I get it stuck in there, I guess. Okay, so when I was cutting these out, my two end pieces, I stopped myself and I was like, well, what if I could just make a little tab onto the bottom of the tubing, and maybe that would help me with filling my hole down there. But yeah, I almost cut it all the way through and I stopped. So well, maybe I could use that. So I left a little tab on both ends. So I'm gonna see if that'll take care of that little gap issue I was gonna have at the end up there, right on this end right here. So we'll see what that does for us. All right, so we ran into another issue up here. Oh yeah, the little tabs on the bottom weren't gonna look right, so I done whacked those off. When I rolled it, it kind of mushroomed or squished the tubing, and it's like a good quarter inch higher than my other piece of tubing. So that being said, what I'm going to do is just get me a scrap piece of tubing. I'm sure I got plenty laying around, and I'll just run one about 80 inches across over to here, and I'm just going to use it as a stiff leg to tack off to hold my two legs in place, so that after I get everything tacked up, then I can go back and fit this arch up, you know, just like with the gate stood up, I can eyeball it and kind of just fit it up like that. That way I can split the difference over here, and I can make that something I can buff out, whereas this quarter inch I can't buff that out. And if I hammer it down, I think it's gonna look like shit. No kidding. I do. I think it's gonna look bad. So I got I figured while I still got the panel laying on the table, I think it'd be easier to fit these little pieces I got to fit up in there. Well, I got something to kind of sit it on, and I can just kind of push it up in there, you know what I'm saying? So I went ahead and whacked out a bunch of these, because I know I'm gonna I got 2 of them already laying over there, and then I'm gonna have just 6 more to make 8, because I'm gonna have the same problem in the other 2 panel corners. This crazy little shape, I don't know, I just kind of drew one out. I measured it and kind of drew it out on a piece of tube, and then once I got the shape, I just kind of eyeballed it. Okay, after a little hammer work, she's much better, and I don't think that looks too bad. A little massage. I don't think you ever see it once I grind on it, no. But they just had to take the deflection out of that metal. It was just too bowed out. But yeah, I think we can work with that. All right, get her tacked up. Okay, got one panel finished out and grinded and all looking pretty. The rest of these should go a lot faster now that I got all the kinks worked out and got all the stuff I need and the tops cut. I should just be able to lay it together pretty easy, and should be able to bust it out pretty quick. I know I told you guys I was going to show you how to lay out the pickets and do all that today, but obviously I'm not going to make it. It's getting late. But I am going to try to bust out these other couple frames. Probably won't get much footage of that. Maybe if I get enough done, I'll come back on and show you, but if not, I'll just put it all in the next video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Until then, see you next time. Check.